To be or not to be is always the question. Now, roti, kapda, makan was the norm, but now it has shifted. Now people want roti, kapda, makan and one big fancy car. But seeing all these cars and being stuck in all those traffic jams, have you thought of whether you should actually buy a car or not? Like, is it even something that you consider, or are there alternatives? Like, before we discuss alternatives though, I would want to say one thing. While when in abroad, public transport seems like the best option, it's cheap and it's efficient. In India, public transport is actually not for the faint-hearted. Like, if you have taken a metro from Rajiv Chowk, then you probably know what I'm talking about, or traveled in a bus in Chennai. Like, the bus is not like this, the bus is like this. Like, you have people hanging from the bus from both the sides. So if you have taken one of those metros or one of those buses, then you probably know what I'm talking about when it comes to public transport in India. And the other alternative to owning a car is renting one. And if you have not experienced Uber here in Bangalore, or Ola for that, or any cab service in Bangalore, then you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. There are times when I've been ready to go out and I have not got a cab. I mean, it had become so bad that I had to learn driving at this age. So, alternatives to owning a car are actually not much in our country. Though I don't say that metros are not good. Metros are really efficient. It takes you from one point to another point in a very less amount of time, environment friendly again, and that comes in public transport. So if you are somewhere from where you're able to take a metro to work or to wherever you're going, well and good. Congratulations, you're in good hands. Metro is the best option. But when it comes to buses and local trains, then I at least would not condone something like that. Hi guys, this is Adya. Welcome to the channel FinMob, and today we are talking about whether we should own a car. And if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. I see that you come, you watch, but you don't like the video, you don't subscribe, so please do that. And now coming to owning a car. Now before we discuss owning a car, I'll actually like to talk about some basics that we do not take into consideration when we are buying a car. To begin with, we have made a video on net worth. Please do watch that. We have explained what an asset and what a liability is. So car, my dear, is not an asset. It is a liability and you make expenses. A car is something that you keep spending on, and yes, it gives you value, but it in itself does not have a value which you could take into consideration while you are considering the pros and cons of owning a car. Like, car is never an asset. Don't put your car in the asset column. It's something that will always demand money from you. I am a car owner and I still don't consider my car as an asset. Like, it's something that's there, it's something that I make, that I spend money on, and it's something which has some utility for me, which actually has a great deal of utility for me, which I'm going to explain further. And secondly, that this is what I was talking about when I said car is a liability, is it demands fuel, it demands maintenance, you have to take an insurance, then you pay road tax, and not that you hold a car for some time and the price will double. That happens for vintage cars. That's not something that we're discussing here. But for a normal car, for an ordinary car that you use, if you hold it for long enough, its value is only going to depreciate. So much so that the moment you roll out a car from the showroom, the value depreciates 10% then and there. And over the first 2-3 years, the value depreciates by over 60%. That's why people buy second-hand cars, because they believe in the first 2-3 years the car hasn't been used much, but the value has come down a lot because 60% depreciation, like I said. Now, lastly, the sole purpose of a car should be to take you from point A to point B. There is no other use. You want to show off, you want to show that how successful you've become by buying a premium car. All of that should not be the reason why you're buying a car, and especially why you're taking a loan and buying a car, because the sole purpose of a car is to take you from point A to point B, and that is something that you should never forget, because that's what cars do. Now, coming to the pros and cons of owning a car. Like, to begin with, it's convenience. You get out of the house, get into your car and go. Like I said, finding a Uber or a Ola in, especially in Bangalore at least, is a task. Like, it is something that you have to consider every time you're going out, because you get ready and you wait for your cab and it never comes. Like, I sometimes see cabs nearby, but they don't just accept it. They're waiting for the surge, or I don't know what's happening, but I don't get a cab that easily. And so switch to EVs or cars that I have to schedule, but again, they're expensive. You don't have to think of anything else. You want to go somewhere, get out of your house, get in your car and go. So convenience is something that, like I said, a car might not be an asset, but it gives you some utility. So you have utility there. Further, if you are somebody like me who loves road trips, like I remember we would just drive to the middle of nowhere and find some small dhaba or something and have dinner there and come back. Those are the things that you can get only if you have your own car. You can't call an Uber to take you somewhere, and you can't just say just ride in this direction and let's see where we go. I think rental does that, but even then you have to give destination, I guess. Secondly, see, when I say that public transports abroad are very efficient, what I mean to say is you get they're more accessible. But when it comes to India, metros are still being constructed. There are roads which are still being made, and accessibility is not that great when it comes to public transport. So if you are, say, taking a metro to somewhere, you actually either have to walk down to the metro, or if you're not staying nearby, you take a auto or a cab again to get to the metro, then get to the place where the nearest metro is, and then get down and go to your destination. Or same happens with a bus or something like that. So you have to walk or make some other arrangements to even use public transport. But when it comes to your own car, you can save that amount of time by just getting into your car. And when I say road trips, I also mean a car gives you that increased mobility. You can just go somewhere and explore places, and even if you cannot, sometimes I've seen people that the flights have become too expensive and they make last moment plans. So if you have a car and if you love driving, then you can just drive yourself, go and find a place to stay and just explore. It's an adventure. So owning a car affords you that kind of luxury where you can just get up and go wherever you want. Again, when you're taking a public transport or a cab, it's expensive. Like if you're traveling say once a week or twice a week and you're going to office, then of course owning a car doesn't make sense. But if you're traveling every day, like when I used to work, we used to go around 25 kilometers one way, so it was 50 kilometers a day just to and from office. And that didn't include, say, we stop for coffee, or we take a detour to go somewhere, or we went shopping. So it's like an average of, say, 60-70 kilometers per day. For that distance, taking a cab or public transport, of course, will be cheaper, but you don't get public transport. So taking a cab would be expensive for people like us. Though it doesn't save a lot of money, but there's still some cost benefit calculation when it comes to how much car you're using. And if you're a frequent traveler, or your office is far away, then probably owning your own car helps. Sometimes you're stuck at work and you want to return and you're not getting a cab, or sometimes when it rains you don't get a cab that easily. So in those cases, owning a car actually helps, and it saves a lot of money because there's surge pricing almost everywhere. And lastly, I know when you are anxious or when you are panicking, people avoid driving. But imagine it's the middle of the night and you have an emergency, and we all know about ambulances. In those cases, when you have a car, it actually helps. I have seen people during the pandemic who couldn't get an ambulance on time and then they passed away. So that always reminds me that even if I do not feel like owning a premium car or having a fancy car, I should at least have a car as part of utility and for emergency. It's just as simple as that. I would love to have a car but then again, cars are not for everybody. I said it saves costs, but then again, there are a lot of expenses associated with a car, just to say that it involves a lot of cost. So if you're owning a car, you have to do that cost benefit analysis before you buy one. Secondly, and this is something that a lot of friends tell me, friends who are very friends who care about the environment. I do too, but they feel that owning a EV probably is a better option, and I would have done that, but EVs are a little expensive for my budget. If I'm in the middle of a road and highway, or say it's late night or something like that, and the car encounters some problem, I do not know how much a local mechanic at the garage would be able to do for my car. So I would refrain from owning a EV currently, but yes, those are the things of the future, and ultimately everybody has to do that. But at the same time, any car that you own, even electric vehicles for that, because the battery that they use and all of the cost associated, so any car you use would cause some damage to the environment. I know CNGs are a good options, then you have fuel efficient cars as well, but all in all there is some damage to the environment, and we can't deny, and all of this can be avoided if we take a public transport or simply walk or cycle. But since we won't do that, I don't know, in that case car is the option that available. If you've not been stuck in a traffic jam, you won't know what I'm talking about when I say that cars are a big headache. And for that effect, any vehicle, even two-wheeler, traveling in a two-wheeler also, if you're stuck in traffic, it's the worst thing to happen to you. So but that you can avoid when you are taking a cab or a public transport, because you're just sitting, and even if you're stuck in the traffic, you can do your thing, or read an article, read a book, but you can't do it when you're driving. And the whole accelerator gear and brake changes, shifting takes a toll on your mind and your body both. So yes, stuck in traffic is something that you should consider when you're buying a car. But then again, you can use a cycle, you can walk, you can use metros are like, I think in another 2-3 years we'll have metros all around, and if you can get a flat which is near a metro station, then I think it helps. They mostly get you connected to all important places, so, and the rest you can walk. So probably consider a public transport. But at the same time, personally, I would like to have a car for myself, but then again I would keep that in mind that it is an liability for me. Like I said, it's not an asset, and I cannot stress this enough, that car is not an asset. However, it is a thing of utility, just like your phone. It's not an asset, but it has utility. So you have to think how much you can spend on this utility. And in the next video, we're going to talk about how much you should spend on buying a car, whether you should go for a premium car, whether you should go for a fancy car, if they are actually of some value to you. All of this in the next video, so stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you've not, and hit like if you like the video. See you in the next video to know more about buying cars the right way. Thank you. Bye.